let's skip the polite warm-up. What you're about to hear is going to permanently alter how you read people, how you interpret every smile, every handshake, every friendly word thrown your way. After this, you won't just interact, you'll diagnose. You'll see the invisible gears turning inside every human exchange. Your father never taught you this. Your teachers didn't dare. And most men will live and die without even knowing it exists. Half a millennium ago, a man named Nicolo Makaveli wrote down the most dangerous operating manual for human behavior ever committed to paper. It wasn't some dusty philosophy. It was a mirror to the human animal. And it terrified the powers of his day so much that the Catholic Church banned his work outright. Leaders condemned him in public while quietly underlining his sentences in private. Why? Because Machiavelli wasn't describing how humans should behave. He was documenting how they actually behave. Not the polite facade, not the moral wish list. The raw, unfiltered code running the human mind. And the reason you were never told this is simple. You've been trained to believe that understanding power makes you immoral. That strategy equals manipulation. That seeing reality clearly will somehow corrupt you. But the truth is uglier. Ignorance doesn't make you virtuous. It makes you vulnerable. So today, I'm going to arm you with the truths that most men never even get close to. They'll make you more perceptive, harder to deceive, and, yes, more dangerous. Let's start with the first one. Truth number 1. People are not rational. They are emotional. You've been told that humans act in their best interest, that we weigh pros and cons like little calculators and choose the optimal outcome. Nonsense. Most people aren't optimizing. They're avoiding pain. Machiavelli put it like this: men judge more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see and few can feel. In plain English, people choose what looks good over what is good. Watch it in real time. Your friend asks for relationship advice, nods along, and then ignores you because your answer requires discomfort. Your coworker complains about money, but they can't give up their $7 lattes. The woman who says she wants a good man, but keeps falling for the exact opposite. The lesson? Logic rarely moves people. Emotion does. Want to persuade someone. Don't dump a spreadsheet on them. Trigger a feeling. Show them an image of themselves they want to believe. Tie your idea to their pride, to their ego, to their need for status. Most men try to win debates with bullet points and statistics. The ones who actually move the room understand that facts are powerless without emotion. He who controls the emotional frame controls the outcome. Truth number 2. Loyalty is not unconditional. Your father may have told you that loyalty is sacred, that you should be loyal to your friends, your company, your partner, no matter what. Machiavelli saw the trap in that thinking. If we must choose, it is far safer to be feared than loved. And here's the brutal truth. Loyalty without reciprocity is just self-betrayal. Ask yourself, are the most successful men you know blindly loyal? Or are they strategically loyal? Do they keep giving to those who don't give back? Of course not. The friend who only calls when he needs something? Not loyal. The employer who preaches family right before layoffs? Not loyal. The partner who keeps one foot out the door while expecting you to stay? Not loyal. Your loyalty should be generous, but it must have teeth. Withdraw it the moment it becomes one-sided. The man who continues to give when nothing is returned isn't noble. He's a doormat, and doormats aren't respected. They're used. Inspire loyalty through value and strength. People stay loyal to what they can't afford to lose. Truth number 3. Your reputation is your greatest weapon, and it's not about being liked. Machiavelli knew that everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you truly are. This is why authenticity has been twisted into a trap. We're told to be ourselves, without any thought to which parts of ourselves we should reveal. Strategic authenticity means controlling the lens through which people see you. The version of you that helps your goals, that's the one the public gets access to. Want to be seen as competent? Speak in solutions, not complaints. Want to be seen as valuable? Be less available. Scarcity breeds worth. Want to be seen as powerful? Stop explaining yourself to people who hold no sway over your life. Think of your reputation as a crafted signal. Consistency plus mystery plus selective vulnerability. Get those 3 right, and you'll draw people in without chasing them. Truth number 4. Conflict isn't optional. It's constant. Your father may have told you to avoid conflict, to keep the peace. But Machiavelli warned, war can only be postponed to the advantage of others. In other words, the fight is already happening. You just haven't been paying attention. At work, someone's eyeing your position. In relationships, someone's waiting for you to slip. In social circles, people test your boundaries. You don't need to start wars, but you must be ready to finish them. The man who's prepared for confrontation rarely has to engage in it because his readiness radiates. Predators pick softer targets. Sharpen your skills before you need them. Save money while you have it. Build alliances before you need help. Train your body when you're not under threat. Machiavelli's analogy was simple. Be a fox to detect traps and a lion to scare off wolves. Truth number 5. Being nice is not the same as being good. We're told to be nice. Nice is safe. Nice is agreeable. But Machiavelli understood that nice often hides weakness. Women say they want nice guys, yet date men who challenge them. Why? Because they sense that nice often means avoiding hard truths. Nice guys avoid difficult conversations. Good men have them. Nice guys say what others want to hear. Good men say what's necessary. Nice guys seek approval. Good men earn respect. Powerful men, CEOs, leaders, champions, are rarely nice in the people-pleasing sense. They are fair, they are just, they help those who deserve it, but they are not afraid to disappoint those who add no value to their mission. You can be kind without being weak. You can be good without being nice. But if you equate goodness with constant agreeableness, you've already made yourself an easy mark. These 5 truths are the cracks in the polite story you were fed. They'll make you sharper, harder to fool, and far more effective in a world that rewards strategy over sincerity. So here we are. You've seen through the surface. You understand that most people move through life like sleepwalkers, guided not by reason, but by emotion. Trading loyalty for convenience, protecting their comfort instead of their reputation, avoiding conflict until it devours them, and mistaking nice for good. But here's where we go deeper, because knowing these truths is just the beginning. The real transformation comes when you start applying them, when you stop playing by the rules you were handed and start writing your own. Let's begin with something Machiavelli understood better than any man of his time. Perception is the battlefield. It doesn't matter who you are. It matters who people believe you are. That belief determines whether doors open for you, whether people trust you with responsibility, whether they follow your lead or quietly undermine you. And here's the paradox. The more you try to convince people with explanations, the weaker you appear. The moment you defend yourself to those with no power over your life, you've already lost ground. Instead, control the story without ever having to narrate it. Think of reputation as a currency. You invest it where it multiplies, you protect it when it's threatened, and you never spend it recklessly. A single careless word in the wrong room can bankrupt it. In psychological terms, this taps into the halo effect. Once people form a dominant impression of you, they interpret everything you do through that lens. If you're perceived as competent, your mistakes are exceptions. If you're perceived as weak, your successes are flukes. That's why the first impression you give isn't just important, it's architecture. Build it deliberately. Here's another Machiavellian truth. Strength is both a signal and a shield. People sense it in ways they can't explain. Your body language, your tone, the steadiness of your gaze. It's rooted in a phenomenon called dominance signaling in social psychology. You don't need to be the loudest in the room. In fact, the truly powerful rarely are. They don't fidget. They don't rush. They control their space by controlling themselves. Why does this matter? Because predators, human or otherwise, look for weakness. They don't always attack the strongest target. They look for the one that looks easy to take down. When you radiate readiness, many conflicts never even reach your doorstep. Now let's talk about loyalty in practice, because this is where most men fail. They think loyalty means riding or dying for people who would abandon them at the first storm. That's not loyalty. That's self-sabotage. Strategic loyalty means assessing the value of the bond, not in cold, selfish terms, but in reciprocal ones. Are they investing in you? Are they protecting you when you're not in the room? Do they respect your time, your effort, your boundaries? If the answer is no, then clinging to loyalty becomes a liability. In the Machiavellian frame, loyalty is a contract, not a donation. Once that contract is broken, your duty is not to mend it. It's to protect yourself. But here's where it gets interesting. Machiavelli didn't see loyalty as purely transactional. He saw it as something you cultivate through value. People are loyal to what they need. That means your best strategy for long-term loyalty is to become indispensable, not through desperation, but through unmatched skill, knowledge, and presence. Conflict, on the other hand, is where men either sharpen themselves or blunt themselves. Avoiding conflict doesn't make you peaceful. It makes you easy to overtake. Conflict is the natural friction of human ambitions. The man who prepares for it while others sleep will always have the advantage. Preparation means more than learning how to fight. It means anticipating challenges before they arise. That's preemptive positioning, a concept in both strategy and neuroscience. When your brain rehearses potential threats in advance, it reduces the stress response when they appear, allowing you to act decisively instead of freezing. And here's something few understand. Most conflicts are decided before they're visible. Long before the public argument, before the email exchange, before the power struggle, moves have been made in the shadows. Alliances formed, narratives seeded, weaknesses identified. That's why you must act before the problem is obvious. This brings us to the danger of being nice. Niceness without backbone is camouflage for fear. It's an attempt to trade approval for safety, and it doesn't work. Niceness is reactive. It bends to avoid breaking. Goodness, on the other hand, is active. It stands firm even when it costs you. In evolutionary psychology, agreeable behavior is rewarded only in cooperative environments. In competitive environments, and make no mistake, the world is competitive, excessive agreeableness signals vulnerability. You'll be tolerated at best, exploited at worst. So, what's the fix? Strategic kindness. You help when it aligns with your mission. You give when it strengthens the bond with an ally. But you never give in a way that erodes your position. This isn't cruelty, it's sustainability. You can't pull others up if you're letting them pull you under. Now, I want to connect all of this to something far bigger than individual tactics: the architecture of power. Machiavelli's genius wasn't in isolated quotes. It was in understanding how these truths interlock. Emotional influence isn't separate from loyalty. It creates it. Reputation shapes conflict before it starts. Strength and kindness aren't opposites. They're multipliers when paired correctly. When you see these patterns, you stop reacting to the surface-level chaos. You begin to operate at a higher layer, where moves are made 3 steps ahead of everyone else. And the moment you start operating here, you'll notice something else. People won't know why they trust you, or follow you, or fear you. They'll just feel it. Because while they're navigating the obvious, you're steering the undercurrent. That's the shift most men never make. From being pieces on the board to being the one who sets the board. By now, you've seen the patterns. The emotional core of decision-making, the transactional nature of loyalty, the construction of reputation, the inevitability of conflict, and the sharp edge hidden beneath real kindness. But if you stop here, all you have is insight. And insight without execution is just another form of procrastination. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to give people clever things to quote. He wrote it to give rulers a framework for action. So the question is, how do you live this? First, you must accept that these principles aren't optional extras for the ambitious. They're the ground rules of human interaction, whether you choose to play or not. Refusing to learn them doesn't make you noble. It just makes you predictable. And predictable is easy to control. The first practical shift is thinking in influence, not intention. Most people obsess over whether their motives are pure. Power doesn't care about purity. It cares about perception and impact. You can have the noblest reasons in the world, but if you can't move people to act, those reasons die in your head. This is where the neuroscience of persuasion comes in. The brain's amygdala, the center of emotional processing, responds to perceived threats and rewards far faster than the prefrontal cortex can process logic. If you want to inspire, lead, or negotiate, you must speak to the amygdala first. That means leading with emotion, story, and imagery, and letting the logic trail behind as reinforcement. Second, you must treat loyalty as a living contract. It should evolve as circumstances change. You reward reciprocity. You withdraw from exploitation. This isn't cold, it's clarity. And the clearer you are, the fewer parasites will attach themselves to you. In practice, this means setting boundaries without apology. The moment you detect someone taking more than they give, you address it directly, or you restructure the relationship entirely. This single habit will save you years of wasted energy. Third, you need to engineer your reputation like a fortress. Machiavelli understood that the fortress wasn't always made of stone. It was made of perception. You decide what the public version of you looks like. You decide which aspects of your personality become legend, and which remain in the vault. This isn't about being fake. It's about being deliberate. A reputation is like armor. You don't walk into battle without knowing what it's made of. Consistency builds trust. Mystery creates intrigue. Controlled vulnerability makes you relatable without undermining your authority. Fourth, train for conflict while the sun is shining. This is where most men fail. They only start preparing once the threat is visible. By then, it's too late. The art of strategic conflict is to be so prepared that you rarely have to engage. This doesn't just mean physical readiness. It means financial readiness, social readiness, and psychological readiness. It means keeping your skills sharp, your network active, your mind disciplined. It means storing resources while others are celebrating, because you know the celebration always ends. Finally, you must replace niceness with principled strength. Stop seeking approval. Start seeking alignment with your values, your mission, and your chosen allies. Be willing to disappoint people who have no stake in your future. That's not cruelty, it's focus. And here's the most important part. Once you begin living this way, you'll feel a strange shift. People will test you less. They'll hesitate before crossing you. Some will respect you more. Others will resent you more. But all will treat you like you matter. Because in a world where most people are desperate to be liked, the one who demands respect stands out. In a world where most are playing for comfort, the one playing for position rewrites the game. This is the Machiavellian paradox. By embracing the uncomfortable truths about human nature, you become harder to manipulate, but also more capable of protecting and uplifting the people you choose to stand with. So don't mistake this for a philosophy of selfishness. It's a philosophy of sovereignty. It's the recognition that your mind, your time, your loyalty, and your reputation are finite, and that protecting them is not optional if you intend to live with strength. And here's the warning. Once you've seen the game, you can't unsee it. You'll notice the emotional hooks in every sales pitch. You'll spot the quiet betrayal in the friend who goes silent during your wins. You'll sense the power plays in meetings that others think are just discussions. It will make you more guarded. It may make you less patient, but it will also make you unmovable. And in a world that thrives on moving people like pieces, becoming unmovable is power. Remember Machiavelli's words, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." Not because fear is the goal, but because indifference is the death of influence. So never be ignored. Never fade into the background. Never let your presence be optional. You now hold principles that most men never discover. Use them not to exploit, but to navigate the reality that has always been here, whether you acknowledged it or not. If this has shifted your perspective, even slightly, then understand, this is not the end. It's the door. And on the other side, we go deeper into the patterns of power, into the tactics that make people chase your approval without you asking, into the subtle moves that separate the ones who play the game from the ones who are played. That's where we're going next. If you're ready to stop reacting and start directing, I'll see you there. But know this, once you step through, there's no turning back.